episode of Left Hand Reviews. And today we have a special Kickstarter preview of a game called Dreams of Dystopia. Dreams of Dystopia is a post-apocalyptic deck building card battle game that plays 2 to 4 players in about 30 to 45 minutes, maybe shorter, maybe longer, depending on the game. This game was designed by Andreas Probst, who has also done the Elemental Clash series, as well as several other games that I really enjoy. And the art in this game is actually done by a gentleman by the name of Robert Misfit Modeleski. And that art is really cool. So this game is just gone live on Kickstarter at the time of the filming. And so what I want to do is give you a rundown of how the game plays, what makes this deck builder different from all those other ones out there, and why you should invest in Dreams of Dystopia. So when you set up a game of Dreams of Dystopia, it's going to look just like this. What you're going to have are 16 different minions. You're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different types of weapons. You're also going to have curse cards, heroic deed cards, the starting minions, as well as some card sleeves that you can see on either side, as well as the player's master and their starting decks. Now, before the game starts, you actually have several different masters that you can select. Now, you'll notice that each of these cards has 2 alignments. You have a divine alignment on one side, and you have a demonic alignment on the other. And that goes for all the cards in the game. You can see this Heavenly Arm Cannons is a divine weapon, but if you flip it over, you have the Hellish Arm Cannons, which are a demonic weapon. Every single card in this game has both a demonic and a divine side, denoted by the text being blue and the cost being in gray for the divine, and the text being red and the cost in black being demonic. So when you start the game, you're going to select a master, and then you're going to select whether you want the divine side or the demonic side. You're then going to take 4 starting minions of your alignment. So if you picked a demonic master, you're going to pick 4 of the minions of the moon, and if you selected the divine master, you're going to take 4 minions of the sun. You take those and you slide them into some card sleeves with the side you selected showing, of course. That way you don't accidentally flip it to the other side, or you get confused while you're shuffling or anything like that. Okay, so what I've done here is my master is a divine master, so I've taken 4 divine minions. I'm also going to have 2 heroic deed cards in my hand and 4 curse cards. Now this is very similar to Dominion in its setup, because what you're going to do is shuffle these starting decks, draw 5 cards in your hand, and the game's ready to begin. Now I keep referencing Dominion because Dominion really is the grandfather, or father, because I guess it's not that old, of all deck building games, and this borrows a lot of content, or a lot of mechanisms from Dominion, and improves upon them, and has a really cool twist with the flipping of these cards. Now the way you win Dreams of Dystopia is reducing your opponent's master's life points down to 0. Each master will have a life point value, this one being 16, this one here being 14, and they all will have some sort of special ability. Now the blue die here is going to represent the amount of fame that you have. You need to acquire fame in order to then acquire minions or weapons. Okay, so let's go through how a turn works. The first thing that you're going to do on your turn is go through your main phase, which is the meat of the game. During your main phase, you can either play an ability, you can attack, you can play a heroic deed card, or you can acquire a new card. You can do all of those things, and you can do them all one and only one time by default. The only caveat being that if you choose to acquire a card, that has to be the last thing that you do on your turn, meaning once you acquire, it's going to move on to your opponent's turn. Now, card abilities and text will modify that. They may let you play additional heroic deed cards. They may you have additional buys. They may allow you to attack multiple times. I'm going to choose on my turn, I'm going to go first, draw 5 cards, and you can see that I drew 2 curses, 1 heroic deed, and 2 of my starting minions. So the first thing that I'm going to do is play a heroic deed. What the heroic deed does is it's going to increase my fame. Fame starts at 0. Now I have 1 fame. Fame is essentially the currency that you use in the game to acquire additional cards. Now that's going to go into my discard pile over here. And I'm going to play my Minion of the Sun's ability, because you can see on the card it has an ability. It says purge this from your hand to recruit a minion immediately. You must have enough fame to do this. So I'm going to purge this, which means remove it from the game. I have 1 fame, so I can acquire 1 minion from here that has a fame requirement of 1 or less. And I'm going to choose the Knight of the Sun. You can see the Knight of the Sun costs 1, as noted on the top left. Now, as you know, there is a demonic side to this minion. The catch is that you can acquire minions of the opposite alignment as you, but the cost is 2 more than the printed cost. So since I am divine, if I wanted to acquire this demonic minion, it would cost me 3 instead of just 1. But in this case, I just want the Knight of the Sun minion, so it will cost me 1, which I have the ability to purchase minions that cost 1. And I'm going to take a card sleeve and I'm going to slip this into the sleeve. I then take that card and I'm going to place it into my discard pile. Now, since that technically wasn't my acquire phase, that was an ability that I played, I still have the acquire phase. All I have left in my hand here is a curse and a Minion of the Sun. So before I acquire, I'm going to attack with my Minion of the Sun. Here's how attacking works. Each minion will have a red attack value, a green defense value, and a yellow skill value. I play my Minion of the Sun. I can then play any cards that have a support ability, as well as playing any weapons that I have. You can play as many support and as many weapons as you want on a minion. The caveats to that are, in order to play a weapon on a minion, it must have a skill value greater than or equal to the weapon's value up here. So my Minion of the Sun having a skill value of 1 is only skilled enough to use the Gauntlets of the Heavens or the Gauntlets of the Abyss. Now, since he is a divine minion, he can only use the divine weapon type. So if I had acquired this earlier in the game, I could play this now too, which is going to add +1 to my attack, +2 to my defense. But since I'm attacking, all I care about is that attack value, so I now have 2 attack. If I had additional cards in my hand that had support abilities, such as, let's say, the Righteous Grimblade, this says support, +3 attack, +3 defense on any attacking or blocking minion. So I could play this as a support card to this to give him another +3 attack for a total of 3, 4, 5. So let's say these are all the support and weapon cards that I want to play. My opponent then has the opportunity to place a defending minion. So let's say they had this particular minion here that they're going to play to defend against mine. They could also play any sort of defense cards that they so chose, or any weapon cards, any support cards to boost their defense. So I'm going to take my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus their 7 defense. They have, their defense is greater than my offense, the difference being 2. So I'm actually going to take that 2 damage. So I would take my life points and deduct it down to 12. And really it's easy as that. Combat's over, take those cards, they go into your discard pile, same with your opponent, they go into their discard pile. And now I'm ready for my acquire part of the phase. I have 1 fame. Maybe I'm going to acquire another Knight of the Sun. I put it in a sleeve and I add it to my discard pile. Okay? And that's really all it works. So it's just going to go back and forth until one of the players gets the other down to 0 and then they win. Now you saw these curse cards that I had in my hand. Curse cards are dead cards in your hand. They don't do anything. So the object of this is to get rid of these as fast as you can so they're not clogging up your hand. You'll also notice here that you can acquire heroic deeds. There are extra ones and they have no cost, so you can always acquire one, but just remember by default you can only play 1 per round. So it's Feels like it could take a long time to get all the way up to 20 to acquire some of the big nasty cards, but there's lots of cards that allow you to play multiple heroic deeds. It'll say +1 heroic deed or +2 heroic deed on the card ability, which will then allow you to play multiple ones and ratchet that up a lot faster. Also, there are cards that have combat abilities, which are different from the regular ability and the support ability. So the ability on this card says +2 acquisition, draw 1. So if you play this as an ability out of your hand, you get to acquire 2 additional cards, so for a total of 3, and you get to just flat draw a card. If you play this as a support during battle, it's saying upon block, the opponent discards 1 card at random, and as I just mentioned, this has a combat ability. So if this card is used in combat, it has the upon attack +1 acquisition. So it's going to give you an additional acquisition. So there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of different things that can happen in this game. There are a ton of various ways to chain cards together, just like in the very best deck building games. So eventually your deck is going to grow larger and larger, your fame is going to increase, and you're going to start dealing massive damage in just a few turns. So back to me. At the end of my turn, I've done my acquisition. All cards that I've used are going to go into my discard pile. I simply draw 5 new cards and I'm ready for the next round. And again, once you move through all your cards and they're in your discard pile, you're going to shuffle them and draw 5 new cards. It's as simple as that. Anybody that's played a deck builder is going to be right at home playing Dreams of Dystopia. So let me wrap it up and give you just some quick overview thoughts of Dreams of Dystopia. So I don't want to go too in depth of a review because this is not a final product. This is of course a pre-production Kickstarter prototype. So I'm just going to talk about the game mechanics, and I really enjoy them. This fits right in with your typical deck builder. It's really easy to pick up, it's really easy to learn, but instead of acquiring points and then having some game end condition and then you tally up your points, this incorporates a card battling system, which I love. If you're a fan of Elemental Clash, if you're a fan of Magic the Gathering, or other type games where you are battling back and forth, but you also like deck builders, this is going to be a perfect combination for you. Every card has 2 sides, so that 16 starting minions is really 32 different minions that you can choose from, depending on if you go Divine or Demonic. As well as the weapons too. 2 sides, double the weapon choices, because they're not identical on either side. They're going to have different stat values, they're also going to have different abilities, so they really are different cards. Also, there are several different masters, which really can affect how the game plays, because for example, there's one master that gives you +2 attack on all your cards. There's another one that lets you draw an additional card every turn, so you have 6 cards in your hand instead of 5. So there's so many different ways that you can combine masters and cards, the demonic side, the divine side. There's cards that let you flip the alignment mid-game. So many different things that you can do in this game. There's so many possibilities. I highly encourage you to go check out the Kickstarter, read more about the funding options, read about the different stretch goals. There are lots of different cards that can be added to the game if the funding gets high enough. All sorts of really cool things. And this game is expandable up to 4 players. So it's not just a 2-player game. You can play with 4 players, which makes it that much more fun, that much more hectic, which is something you don't get in a lot of card battle type games. A lot of times they're only restricted to 2 people. Also, I do have a full playthrough of this game. If you really want to see how a game goes back and forth, my wife and I played through a game. So you can see exactly how each turn goes back and forth in a more lengthy example rather than the short one I gave during this preview. So, thanks for watching my Kickstarter preview of Dreams of Dystopia. Head to Kickstarter.com, have a look, and if you like what you see, please back it. And thanks for watching Left Hand Reviews. Make sure to check out my website, lefthandreviews.com, as well as Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for watching.